Hi there, hello there. This is the Who Gives a Fit podcast, and I'm Sam, founder and coach for Who Gives a Fit. Our goal is to help women become stronger and more confident through fitness, nutrition, and a little bit of tough love. First things first, if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please subscribe and leave a review if you love this content and you want to learn more. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, and leave a comment with your favorite part of this episode. You can also find us on Instagram, where we put out daily tips and inspo at Who Gives a Fit. I'm so looking forward to hearing from you. In today's episode, the first ever episode, I'm with my good friend Marissa, and we're talking all things WW, formerly known as Weight Watchers. We talk about the pros and cons of their system, as well as how it impacts different people in different phases of their journey. I'm gonna tell you right now, there are a couple red flags for me in their system, so this is going to be really important if you've ever considered joining Weight Watchers or if you're currently on Weight Watchers. In addition to that, we cover what long-term weight loss looks like as far as habits and the mental shift that needs to take place in order for you to stay there, and so much more. There's going to be truth bombs in this, there's going to be educational bombs in this. It's going to be super fun and super educational. So make sure you continue listening.
I just want to have a little preface in here. Like, anything that helps people lose weight is great. That's wonderful. If Weight Watchers helped you lose 40 pounds, that's awesome. And I'm happy to hear about it. And if it's something that people think they can do long term, that's great. I'm happy that they found that for themselves.
Yeah.
But I've spoken to enough people and coached enough people at this point that I've tried Weight Watchers and then gain the weight back or get stuck, that it's kind of a red flag to me that something's not right. And that's kind of why I asked you to come on here, because you were the first person that brought it up to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kind of have heard it more and more since talking to you about it. And it frustrates me that they don't teach the appropriate way to come out of a diet or how to distinguish the nutrients that are in foods,
Right.
and how they impact your goal, which are both really important factors for sustainable change. So that's why we're here now. I'm not here to dig on Weight Watchers alone.
No, this is not a rag on Weight Watchers by any means. It's definitely, like I said, it served its purpose. Absolutely.
For
Yeah.
sure. It got you started, but then it got to a point where it wasn't really working anymore. And I think that's what a lot of people I've talked to are starting to see.
You hit a ceiling with it. Yeah.
I downloaded Weight Watchers yesterday.
You're doing a little recon.
Yeah. Let's just say I was shooketh.
It's wild, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I was like, I need to know, because I talked to somebody the other day, which I just signed somebody else on, who was like, I've tried Weight Watchers and not working anymore.
No.
And so I was like, I got to see what's going on here. So I took their quiz, and they told me that, so I'm on the purple plan, and
Okay.
this plan, you don't have to track fruit, like you said. I remember you saying that. Protein doesn't count as anything either. And then also whole grain pasta does not count as anything. So I could eat all the pasta I want.
You could have the biggest bowl of whole grain pasta and chicken and shrimp.
Doesn't count towards anything.
It's like free food.
Yeah. I was like, well, when I got the results, I was like, how come I only have 16 points? What am I going to do with that? And then I realized that 90% of what I would eat does not count. So I was a little shook by that.
I've been thinking about the journey and the Weight Watchers part of it. So, and for me, it's something I've struggled with my entire life. And I did South Beach in college and dropped 40 pounds. Was also smoking a pack a day and not really living the healthiest lifestyle. I don't know if it was South Beach or being stupid in 20, but so it's always been something. You look for the quick fix. You look for what the fad is. You know, before Instagram, it's what was on the news or whatever people were talking about. But when I had Shar, I was the heaviest I had ever been in my life, and uncomfortable, didn't feel right in my skin, heavy. I mean, you were there the whole time. You saw me. The Weight Watchers seemed like the right option, and I believe, as different as it is for macros, now knowing what I know now and how food works together and everything you've taught me, I think Weight Watchers had a place, because I was also coming from a person who knew nothing about portion control, healthy eating, trying to track something going in your body. But they jumped the shark the minute the free points were introduced, which for me, I think was right around like 2017, because I was on it for 3 years. I lost 40 pounds over those 3 years.
That's great.
It was great. And then I was stuck for 2 years. Didn't move. Because
that's frustrating.
I was eating a bowl of grapes every night, and it was free food. And shoving a full chicken breast down my gullet didn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, what happened at the beginning of Weight Watchers? Like, were you thinking it was going to be a long-term thing?
In the back of my mind, I was a new mom. I was still breastfeeding and wanted to be healthy. And I was also older when I became a mom. So there's the women that are in the Weight Watchers commercials, there's a reason. They do a very nice job with the marketing, right? So it's like, oh, I'm now in mom life, and this is the program for me. Like, I had succumbed to being in my 30s and settled, and felt like this was the responsible choice, because it worked with a bank account of calories, if you will. And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And it worked. I dropped like 10 pounds the first month. I thought it was amazing. And I never it was all or nothing diets prior to this. And that is not sustainable. I love it when you talk about, like, donuts are food. Just make sure you put it in, measurement with everything else in your life. But yes, you can have that donut and enjoy it, and don't deprive yourself of that. So it was the first step in the change, in the journey, where I learned that I could have a slice of cheesecake and it'd be okay. I don't have to shame myself the next day for falling off the wagon and, cheating like that. So that took time and practice, and the diligence and the attention to reading the labels, which I had never really done before, because again, it was all or nothing. It was like, eat this mound of meat and nuts, or you're not, it's not going to work. So, but what I didn't know then was what the numbers actually meant, because I was using their algorithm, their point system, and that was great for me. I think for somebody that knows nothing and they're just starting, like, it definitely serves a place. But it's wild to think, what that was like. I was Bambi walking into the dieting scene going, okay, show me what to do.
So what was I know you had your time when you were kind of stuck for 2 years. What made you decide to switch over to macro tracking?
Honestly, watching you love food and eat food all those years, there was a part of me that's like, she's on to something. I want what she's having. How do I
Literally.
do all of that? Yeah. It's like, how do I do this? And I had just, it's about a year ago, we really started talking about it, and I started learning from you about it with the coaching. And I now work in food. Like, I came home from a photo shoot today, which was amazing. And sometimes there's leftovers. And I brought a nice, flat of pastrami and 2 loaves of bread home for the family. So it wasn't planned, but we had pastrami sandwiches, and I made it work in my macros and feel great about it because it was delicious.
That's great. Well, how much have you lost since switching over?
So I lost 25 pounds this past year.
Nice.
Yeah. And I got below wedding weight, which it will be 10 years ago in May. So that was big. But what I've also am excited, I gained 10 of it back because I enjoyed life the past couple of months and needed to take vacation mode. Still was able to maintain, still worked out 5-6 days a week for sanity and just to move and do all, like, I crave working out now. But I don't feel that bad about gaining the weight because now I'm off vacation mode, I'm tracking again, and I know what to do to get back to where I was and get back on track. But it's not a shift of this, oh, I failed. Now I have to start this. I'm starting Monday, it's different now.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I'm sure you realize that just having that base knowledge of what foods are what helped you not completely rebound back to gaining 25 pounds back when you took a little break. So
yeah, and I might have been a little longer than a little break. Like, I think I took like October through yesterday off. So it was, a good solid holiday season of, we're all going through it, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't judge. We all need a break sometimes.
Right behind me, where you get it done. You get it done.
Yeah, but like, you had an idea of what you were eating.
Oh, yes. And the protein's key. You always told me that. Hit your protein numbers.
It's so important. It's my favorite thing to say.
Why it's 3 points if you
Well, I don't know if I'd agree with that. So you have the most insight. I did my recon yesterday, but how would you consider macro tracking different than the Weight Watchers system?
That is an excellent question.
Thanks.
I think, can I start with the similarities?
Sure.
Can I not answer your question? I'm going to be a politician now. I'm going to
answer my question with a question.
How do you find a difference? The mechanism of tracking, if you're tracking whatever your end usage is, if it's MyFitnessPal, a macro app, a journal, Weight Watchers app, that felt the same. I was already used to paying attention to what I was eating. I think it's very easy to slide on Weight Watchers because the points are gray. It's like banana. I loved your mom's post the other day. She was weighing everything. She was mad at the protein bars because they were different sizes. And I get it, Mom. But you put that in and you think it's like, well, this thing is 2 points. So that's fine. And then I'm going to take this bowl of grapes and that's 0 points. And there's awareness, but not education in a sense. With the macros, I found myself measuring more. I don't weigh my protein bars. I will admit that. I go by the wrapper on those.
It really just depends on how serious you want to get about it.
I applaud it. I think I actually started thinking maybe I should, just to see.
I was there before wedding, but not anymore.
Well, and that's this, right? There's a time when you kind of can play with what your goals are in the moment. So I think, though, I had no idea what the carbs meant. I had no idea that carbs and fat were interchangeable, or that, you could really go under one day and have a choice to, do I make it up the next day, or do I spread out that makeup and not have it as impactful the rest of the week? I think what happens to a lot of people who hit their ceiling on Weight Watchers, from what I've heard anecdotally, is you get into that weekend rut, right? So you're good. All of a sudden you cheat really high, but that extra outdoes what you've done throughout the week. And that's, for me, why I hit that plateau. I didn't realize how to cheat without just diving off a cliff.
Yeah, it's all about averages.
Yeah.
Everything is. Your weight, how much you eat. I just explained that to a client the other day, because their weekday was 1,600 calories, and then their weekends, they were still tracking, which a lot of times when some people go off on the weekend, they don't even track it, which I'm glad that they were at least tracking it.
That's good.
But it was 2,000, 1,900 calories. And I'm like, that's not quite how it works. You got to keep it consistent. If you want to eat more on the weekend, cut down a little bit during the week, and it'll all even out.
It will. I mean, I knew it was working, and I was really into it right when COVID started. Had started the month before. Actually, we had gotten back from Sugar Bush, and I was like, all right, it's go time. We need to lock this in. And so I had enough of a starter pack with the macros, and then COVID hit, and my husband decided, I'm going to learn how to cook all the things I've ever wanted to eat in life.
Perfect.
And his goal, in addition to the sourdough starter that the entire world was doing, he's like, I'm going to perfect carbonara. I was like, challenge accepted. You let me know when and where. And we were eating carbonara once. We still eat it every other week. It is delicious. And I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that I was losing 5 pounds a month and still able to enjoy a bowl of carbonara, 2 cups of pasta, pancetta, the whole kit and caboodle, and 2 glasses of wine, and still lose that weight and enjoy life like that. And I was like, this is sustainable. This is something that, I don't feel deprived with. I thank you for that. That was such a life changer.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could be of assistance.
Anything for the pasta, right?
Anything for the pasta. I mean, maybe you should have just stuck with Weight Watchers then, because it's not free. Whole grain. It doesn't count toward anything. So, so is there anything else that you noticed was a big difference?
Depends on when and where in the journey you are. I think there's a, if you're new to the journey, if you're figuring it out, Weight Watchers work then. I don't know. If macros was introduced to me back then. Were you doing macros back in 2014? When did macros come into your life?
I mean, I think I started doing it right before I met Brian, I believe.
Oh.
So 6 years ago. So it wasn't when I first started.
Okay.
I was still a meal plan hopper at that point.
You were. That's right. Remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me and Erica.
Yeah. Cooking on Sundays.
Yeah. Which was fine, but didn't last. And then I switched over to that, and yeah. And I'm sure you started seeing me doing it then.
Yeah, I think so. How were you introduced to macros?
I think just through social media, like YouTube videos and Instagram and stuff. The funny thing is, I used to see like competitors, like bikini competitors and like coaches post about it, being like, this is the diet you have to try. Like, this will get you the results that you want. And being like, that's stupid. I'm not trying that. That's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. What are even macros? I'm not tracking all my food. I don't even know what made me want to try it, but I did. And clearly I'm converted. So.
And spreading the word successfully.
Yeah.
I remember when you started out, I was asking, you tried to explain it to me, and I think I was like knee deep invested in Weight Watchers, and it was like you were speaking a different language at the time. I probably had 2 hours of sleep. Charlotte was teething or something was going on, but it was such a foreign concept. It was almost for somebody who never thought about food to then have to think about food. It might have been too far of a leap at that point in time.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
And it was, Weight Watchers is like, we're going to make it easy for you. Here's some fun badges you can win. And here, like that sense of community. I was into the blog. You find people who are struggling with it, but to have the coaching network, to have that network with the tool, I think it's very, very special. But the lack of education, because you can't always weigh your food. There will come a time we can go to restaurants again, and it's going to be delightful, and we're going to go out and we're going to do the best we can to portion size it. And I'm speaking for me. Tell me what you're going to do in this moment. I'm very curious. My macros will probably be close when I log them after I get home, or if I pre-plan, if I look at the menu and can figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But Weight Watchers, it was just like, I'm writing this off. This is all my activity points are going here. How do you do that when you go out for dinner or something?
I mean, what I tell my clients is, and this is what I've done, is like, just guess as close as you can. Like, if you really want to get serious about it, you can try and look up the stuff on the internet, like Google the restaurant, their meals. Like, chains usually have their nutrition, which is really helpful. So that's a really great way. Research it before you go in. That way you're not hungry, or like when you're there and hungry, you're not looking at the menu and like, I want everything on here.
Take the left side.
Yeah. So that planning helps in that sense. But it also helps you stick to your numbers much easier. But then I also give a resource. Like, I always joke, I don't expect you to take your scale to a restaurant. Like, just imagining that makes me laugh. So, I give them a resource of like
hold on, honey. I just want to get and see how much the carpaccio weighs.
Right? I need to weigh this chicken. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I give them a resource that, like, their hand, like your palm is usually about 3 ounces of protein. So I give them a little hand guide, and like, I'm like, just kind of glance over at your food and be like, oh, this looks like this much, and then put it in. And I also say that you should break it up. Like, if you're having pasta with chicken, type in the pasta, how much you think it is, put that in. Don't try and like search the full meal, because that's just going to be frustrating, and there's going to be tons of different options that are different numbers. You'll get the best numbers by breaking things apart.
That's smart. I do remember you telling me that. I do that. I sometimes if we have like salad night or do salad bar or getting crazy with leftovers, there's literally like 20 items under my dinner list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the easiest
Half
way to
a
get
bell
it in.
pepper.
Yeah.
2 ounces of
Exactly. I do that when I get poke bowl. I just break it up and then I save it in my Fitness Pal as a meal. So the next time I usually get the same thing. Then I just put it in there. I already know.
I think my other favorite thing is the snack game has been elevated.
In what way?
Well, so there's a few ways, because before, when like free points, fruit's great, but it's not everything when it comes to snacking. It's not. So Built Bars, game on.
Mm-hmm.
The puffs need to be regular and not just limited offers.
Did you get the coconut ones?
Yes, and of course I reordered.
Good.
Oh yeah. WGAF code entered.
Yeah, a little promo right here if you want 10% off your Built Bars.
Click the link. Is that where it goes, or it doesn't go over there?
I think it's down. It depends on where I post it, honestly. It could be in the bio, could be anywhere.
Take whatever one works.
Either way, if you type in the code WGAF, you'll get 10% off your Built Bars, which are delicious. They're they're like candy.
Char goes nuts over them. After her riding lesson, there's always snacks in the bag. And I was like, you want a brownie? Because I don't tell her they're protein bars.
Yeah, don't tell her.
The brownie one. So, so that's been really good. I also love the Quest chili lime chips.
Oh, yeah. Erica got us on those, huh?
That was a good one. That was a good call, America. Brian sits down with his big old bag of Doritos, and then I might grab a couple, because that's delicious, but I really like the Quest lime ones.
Yeah, that's good. I think I made nachos out of the cheddar ones.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea. I like that. Yeah.
Gotta get crafty with it.
It is. And ice cream. Like I love ice cream. All types of ice cream. And I had ice cream a lot, and I was able to. You just measure it out, know what you're working with. So yeah, snack game, I feel like that's good. I feel like I'm eating more too, in a different way.
Everyone says that.
There's this conception, I was even talking about it with my dad the other day, like there's 1,200 calorie mythical like goal for when you're losing weight. I was like, that's not enough. So 1,700 right now, 1,758. But again, I don't watch the calories. I watch the big three, and then the calories typically fall in line. And that's the magic. How you can focus on the big three, and all of a sudden the calories just line up.
I know, it's wild. And by the way, by the big three, she's talking about protein, carbs, and fat. Just to clarify, I guess that's the nickname they have now.
That's what I've been calling them.
I love it. I'm stealing it. So
go for it. It's yours. Take it. Well, I don't know, do you still use MyFitnessPal, or what are you tracking in? Avatar?
Yeah, no, I use MyFitnessPal because I just feel like they have the most comprehensive library. I get frustrated having to type too many things in. Although I always say that you should double check anyway, because sometimes when you scan on MyFitnessPal, it's not always the same. Either the nutrition label changes or somebody put it in wrong. I always do a double check.
Yes, definitely double check. Yeah. And the other thing I learned too, booze. Booze is tracked differently. Weight Watchers booze versus macro booze is not the same either.
Oh, really? What do they do for booze?
They do points, but it almost was like, it's been a while. Don't quote me on this. And they change their points every so often. I think when I was doing it, it was like light beer, 2 points. So it's like I could have a protein shake or a Corona Light.
Well,
but also a pound of chicken, and that didn't count. It really intuitively, I started to question, flat earth. Like there was a lot.
Uh,
No,
hearing those things kind of like hurt me. They make my brain twitch. Like
yeah. Oh, yeah.
the fact that you could have protein, the most important thing ever, or a beer that has zero value to you in any way.
But it was only 2 points. So come up. I mean, it's really what the mental trade-off was when you're trying to make the good choices with your allotted bank, as opposed to actually understanding what you were eating and what it meant for your body. And I also think over time with that too, I was able to find that certain things just made me feel better. I was recovering better from workouts. I was sleeping better at night. So probably also because, over the span of it, like to hit 100-pound weight loss is a lot. And it was not done overnight. It was done over 6 years. And it was definitely like this. We're currently here. I know we're going to go like this again soon. Like it's just the rhythm. But that, to finally be able to listen to your body and say, I feel strong when I do this. I feel fit when I do this. I also need a break and just want to relax, and I'm okay with that. I think macros, because you're looking at food differently, allowed me to be able to feel and listen to my body in a different way that I hadn't been able to do before.
Well, that's great. I love to hear that.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you joined the macro team.
Oh, for life. Team macros for life.
I love it. Do you think you'll ever go into, some people call it intuitive eating. I prefer to call it mindful eating because
Swear to God, I almost thought you were going to say something else. So sorry. You said mindful eating.
No, not quite.
Continue. My apologies.
Yes, mindful eating, because so intuitive to me is like you're just listening to when you're hungry and that's when you eat. Mindful eating is like, I know I need to eat probably this much protein today, so I'm going to make a point of including a good amount of protein in my meals and making sure I'm getting the appropriate amounts of carbs and fat in each of those and being mindful of it. So I feel like you probably did that already a little bit over the last couple months when you took your break. But do you think that you would switch to that at some point?
It's an intriguing approach. Clarifying question. Are you logging while you're mindfully eating, or is it just
going with the flow?
Have we met? I don't do well with that.
So I've been attempting it since like August.
Tell me, what do you think?
I mean, it's definitely hard right now. Like when you're first getting into it, I'm so used to tracking, and the control freak part of me just wants to put the numbers in and make sure that it's right. But I also haven't, like, I don't have like a serious goal right now, and I'm just trying to like maintain and put on some muscle, so I have to have a little bit of fat on me anyway and be eating more. But my main focus is just making sure I'm getting enough protein, and then kind of just being aware that I'm not eating an entire box of pasta by myself. So I mean, it's fine. I went to the doctor today, and I mean, it was after I ate and drank stuff already, but I'm at 140, which is the highest weight I've ever been. But I also don't look like most people would think 140 would look. So I know there's muscle that I've been growing, and I feel good. And when I do try to diet, I've a couple times in this period just to see, I've realized that I hate feeling hungry. It's
I think that's a common theme.
it
Yeah, I'm with you
really
there. Yeah,
messes with me
not
and
present.
I can't stick with it. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to focus on feeling good and being able to lift heavy weights
Mhm.
and making sure I'm trying to get more vegetables in. And that's what I need to do right now.
I
So,
think that's wonderful. That's exciting.
yeah.
Do you find that you carried over? Because you get into a pattern, right? You know, like I eat breakfast between this time and this time every day, and your body typically tells you now it's time to eat, right? Or after you've worked out, or you have your chunks where you eat. Did any of the tracking muscle memory carry over to the mindfulness, or are you kind of like a different eating person now?
I think it carried over for sure.
Yeah.
The whole mindful thing is like, I know after or before a workout, I should have at least 30 grams of protein. So whenever I do that, I make a point to eat either right before or right after my workout. And
Yeah.
that's just part of the mindful thing. I know that's what I'm supposed to do, so that's what I'm going to do. But also paying attention to hunger. And like I've been trying to build my business, so I'm not always prioritizing food like I should. Like I get stuck in things
Yeah.
and then it's the end of the day and I haven't eaten that much, which I'm trying to get better at. But yeah, it's just like partially paying attention to your hunger cues, but also being aware of what you should be eating and what you have eaten throughout the day. Like I have a general idea of how much protein I've had at the end of the day. And if I think I need more, then I'll have a protein shake or something.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I think there's something to, especially like for me, one of the reasons I went on the vacation wasn't so much of I don't want to diet. It was I needed to remove one thing from my life that took up thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what I need to allow myself to take a break from is this every time I put something in my mouth, or this in the morning, game planning the day, and then readjusting at night for any changes that might have come our way, right? Like use best laid plans, but enough flexibility to pivot if you have to. And so from what you were describing in my break, there was a good part of that. You know, like I knew to set myself up for success, I had my breakfast plan, typically a protein shake and a Built bar or a banana. Really always protein heavy in the morning, typically because I work out first thing. So, you know, getting that protein in with it. Lunch, little turkey ham Sammy to go to the office. And a snack and then dinner. And dinner was always, you know, what's on the menu, hon? What are you cooking tonight? What's the new journey? And when I'm tracking, and the biggest difference was I would typically be done then or have enough macros left over for like a little sweet bite because they do like a little dark chocolate at the end of the night or just a nibble. When I wasn't, there was more meats and cheeses after the kiddo went to bed, maybe a bigger bowl of ice cream. Like that's where we slid.
Mm-hmm.
And but I was mindfully eating it, knowing that it probably was, you know, putting me over here and there, and let's not do it tonight. But yeah, there was a rhythm to it. Also, because I think if you're the type of person that's aware of your health and fitness, you also want a mental strength too.
Yeah.
The mental, the mind and body connection. Um, I'm learning in my wiser years is so important. You have to get enough rest. You have to drink enough water. None of that, all of the right eating, all of the right working out will be for naught if you're not taking care of the brain too.
Mm-hmm.
Falling off at times. So it's been a year of growth, Sam.
Yeah. I mean,
know?
that's kind of what I was saying with like starting the business and everything.
Yeah.
I have a lot of stress around that. And I needed to, like you said, not do something. Like
Yeah.
something needed to be out of the brain. And it was tracking macros. I was like, I got to try and do this on my own. I know it's possible. I have an idea of what's in food. And so we're just going to try it out. And I don't really care what happens. So that's kind of the path I took. And with you saying about drinking water, like at the end of the day, if I want a dessert, it's like, well, do I actually want a dessert? Like, am I hungry? Or am I just craving something sweet? Or did I not drink all my water for the day? Because, like, yeah, I'm hungry, but I also have a half gallon of water that I haven't drank. So that's probably it.
It is, that's the thing. I'm starting to challenge the initial thought.
Mm-hmm.
Not out of sense of deprivation, but out of a sense of just to understand it. Right? Like I can tell right now, excuse me, I am thirsty. I did not drink enough water today. And I don't when I go to the office, and which is lovely, and I love it there. Just you have your mask on. I don't have this in front of me where I know if I drink 4 of these, I'm good. 5 is really good. I'm probably at 3 right now. I need to do another one of these before I go to bed. Yeah, the water's key. And asking yourself that, like don't just do it because you're like, oh, I'm reaching for the Reese's, and I'm going to grab this just because I want it. Challenge it. Pause for a minute. It's really hard.
It is very hard.
Minutes. Really hard. Give it 15 minutes and then come back and be like, okay, I do really want that. Or, half of that.
Yeah. No, that's the really hard part. And I feel like it takes a while to get into that mindset.
Do you, it's probably true, but also, do you think that there are tiers to fitness, as if I'm going to use like black belt and karate as an example, right? Like you get started as your green belt and you're like, I don't know anything about this. I grew up in an era with you were dieting. Snackwell cookies was the diet. This is the late 80s, early 90s. Diets was low fat. That was the fad back then. So if you enter into it at Snackwell phase, like you got your green belt, and then you go into Weight Watchers and you hit a plateau. And if you keep seeking and you're like, okay, then I want, then I go macro. And then I've gotten macro mastered so much I can be mindful about it. Right? You're the guru, the Zen yogi of fitness.
Yeah.
I also think like how can I teach Shar these tools sooner? And it certainly doesn't make sense for a 6-year-old to walk around tracking her macros. I don't think that's something I want to encourage at that age. But what can I mindfully pull out of that practice just to instill those tools to her, to teach kids younger? Like I always wonder, like, what would it be like if I had those tools earlier on? No fault from anybody, school, parents, nothing. It's just like it was a different era.
Mm-hmm. I know, I don't remember learning. I mean, I'm sure they told us about protein, carbs, and fat, but I don't remember it being like helpful in this to the degree where like
was
I
on the
knew.
bottom of the pyramid. Yeah, it wasn't porn. Like these are eat this.
Yeah. It was like fruits and vegetables only.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely taking a mindful approach to it and just kind of, I guess, starting to tell her what things are would probably be helpful. Like, we're putting chicken on your pasta tonight because we have to make sure we're having protein, and like just things like that. I think that will start to definitely help her understand. And then maybe like an idea of portion sizes. Like I said, the hand measurements would probably, I don't know how that works for kids. Because the idea is our hands are proportional to how much we should be eating anyway.
So it would be her hand size.
Yeah. That's what I'm told.
that in theory, it makes sense. I mean, you know, if we sit down with a bowl of pasta, we'll come back to that analogy. You know, she has a much smaller bowl of pasta than we do.
Mhm.
She's not sitting down with the same size we have. She has at least probably half or less than that, and walks
Yeah.
away. Yeah.
And I mean, restaurants kind of promote that, but not really. They have crazy proportions anyway. So it's kind of hard to go with their sizing. But yeah, kind of just teaching her like this is what a cup of nuts looks like or something like that. Like use your hand to measure it out and like make it like snack sized, like you could give it like fun names.
Yeah.
I think that kind of stuff would be helpful. And then she'll just kind of know as she grows and gets older what appropriate portion size should look like. Do I know if it'll stick? I don't know. I don't think I would have cared that much in college, honestly.
DP dough, girl. You
Yeah.
can't.
Full boxes of pasta, DP dough, all
Ugh.
the things.
And for those that don't know, Sam and I went to the same college.
We
Few
did.
years apart, but
Yes.
same school. I do not feel like I should have a 6-year-old and be middle-aged. And yet here we are. But I think it's really exciting though, because I've never felt stronger. I have been told I would pass a Navy physical exam,
Wow.
right? So that's pretty baller. You would be so proud of me too. I've been tracking my workout, and every time I get a PR, I put a little sticker on it. So this has been a good month so far.
Wow, you got a lot of them.
It was a good month. Yeah. So that's fun. I like the metrics. I think that's one of the reasons I like the macros, and I don't know if mindfulness would be a forever thing for me, but I small incremental goals, milestones to get there, and that makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something when I can see that progress.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with me, the point I'm at now, I feel like if I had a major goal that I wanted to reach or like something specific I was working toward, I would go back to tracking just to have that. It makes it easier for me. It might sound like tracking everything is harder, but I tried it like a couple months ago just to see how I would feel about going back into it. And it was like super fast. Like it was like nothing. So I would definitely go back if there was something specific. But for now, we're just sticking with
it's nice
the
just
mindful.
being, right?
Yeah.
Just
Have you struggled at all with workouts? Did you go a period at all where you were like, I'm just not feeling it?
Not this past year. Before, yeah. Oh yeah. Like when I started training again after Shar, I think she was like 2, when I wanted to do Weight Watchers a little bit, drop some weight, then figure out how to work out again. And I only started once a week. It was very slow. And then I ramped up to, I was like, okay, I'll do once a week with the trainer, and then I'll do like a couple of walks around the neighborhood, and strive for 2-3 days a week. And it was a very different type of workout. I could barely do 5 push-ups. I would drop to my knees. And they weren't very pretty push-ups. Then after a year, my stamina got better. I had dropped, I think, like 30 pounds that first year. I could move my body again. I was so big, I couldn't, like, that stretch where you pull your leg up into, I couldn't grab my leg. I didn't have the mobility. And once the physicalness started kicking in, I think it was a combination of, I was really frustrated because I couldn't move. So I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be embarrassed. But also it hurt. Like I was sore afterwards. But bit by bit, ramped up, figured it out. And now there are mornings it's like, all right, I'll get on if it's a cardio day, it's like, I'll get on the bike or I'll run. And I might run later in the morning than I would typically like to, but I still get it in. Because I hear your voice in my head, actually. It's like, just get started and just move a little bit. And then after a few minutes, like, then it's like, okay, all right, now I'm in it, I'm going.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot lately. I mean, people get caught up in things that happen in life, and then they get off track for like a week or two. And then at that point they're like, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I lost all my strength. I'm scared, like, that I'm not going to be as good at this stuff, and now I don't want to do it. So I was just curious if you had ever experienced anything like that.
We didn't take a vacation this year. So typically I don't work out on vacations. And when that type of, I'm afraid to get back into it, or I took this time off, or I'm out of sync with it, when I do come back, definitely not as strong. Kind of like awkward getting back into it.
How long do you feel like it takes you to get back into it? Like, to feel like you're back at your strength and even maybe gaining strength?
Probably a week or two. And if it happens to line up with restarting when, like, your cycle's coming around 3 weeks,
yeah,
that's it. It always gets in the way.
I asked to see how long you said, because I think people believe that it's going to take just as long as it took the first time. Like, they're back at square one. It's the end of the world. They've ruined everything. And really, it just takes a week or two to get back to where you were. And then sometimes people are even able to start lifting even heavier or pushing even harder because they had that extra rest time.
So you're not starting at square one. You're not losing everything that you've done, just as you're not going to gain all the weight back, or you're not going to, or whatever your goals were, wherever you started from versus where you're going, it doesn't erase and negate everything that you've done.
Yeah, I think that's really important to hear. And I wanted people to hear it from someone other than me so that they believe that it's true.
You're also working, a couple of your clients are new moms too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It takes 9 months to make the baby. It's gonna take more than a month to get back to something semblance of your old self. It's 9 months in, 9 months out. Like,
yeah, and there's a lot of hormones changing in those months after. So that can have an impact on lots of things, whether you're breastfeeding and how much you're sleeping with a baby. There's so many factors that play into it. And I feel like I love helping new moms, but I feel like they're some of my toughest clients too, because there's so many factors shifting at once and constantly, that there takes a lot of maneuvering and testing. And I can see how they get frustrated when things aren't going as fast as they want. They're like, my body was supposed to bounce back after this baby came out. So what's going on?
It's not gonna. Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, you got a lot going on. We'll get there.
Yeah. I think the biggest step is, for any new mom, is taking that time for herself, right? To be able to do that. I think you're a perfect coach for new moms because of your
thanks.
No, I mean, it genuinely, your patience with your clients is that moms just need a safe space. Like, spoiler, we have no idea what we're doing. None. It's all a wing and a prayer. So to somebody that's like, you're doing great, let's focus on this, try this, give yourself some slack. Like, that's That's important. Yeah.
Yeah. I had one mom message me today saying she put chicken on the grill for meal prep.
Okay.
And she was getting the kids ready. They had to go somewhere,
Mhm.
go to gymnastics, and then comes back home, chicken still on the grill, charred. And I was like, well, I'm glad the house didn't burn down, first of all, but also totally understand. I hope you had something else to eat.
Oh, that's not sweet. I feel that.
Right?
Thing.
So, yeah, it's a struggle. I'm like, just do what you can. It's okay.
It really, and it's kind of the first 6 months after the baby is just I have no words. It's exciting and lovely and it's a wonderful time. And it's like a blacked out. I could barely remember any of it, and it's different for everybody. So yes, moms, give yourself some time, get your rest, do your thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Take care of yourself. As I always say, you can take care of others better when you take care of yourself first.
That is well said, my dear. Yes.
Thanks. I feel like maybe I get that from being an only child. I always take care of myself first.
Yes.
So I feel like I'm good at telling people how to do it.
That's what I love that you and Shar are soul sisters like that.
Yeah.
Very, she's like, well, I did what I needed to do. So what are you going to do now? Put your plate away. Thanks.
Oh gosh. It's a blessing and a curse, really.
Mostly a blessing, but yes.
Mostly.
The curse is when I see myself talking back at me in a small body going, oh no. Oh. Yes.
I did this.
Here we go again.
It's so funny. All right. Well, I should probably go eat.
I'm going to go drink more water.
Great. I love that. Thank you so much for coming on my first podcast video thing. I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to post this on YouTube, but I don't even have a podcast platform yet. So
This is very exciting. I'm so happy to
yeah.
be part of the journey. You're going to
Yeah,
crush it.
of course. We had talked about this for a while, so I'm glad we finally got it done, and we're going to get the info out to the world.
The big three.
The big three.
The big three.
Everyone's got to know about the big three.
Game changer.
Yeah, it is. Oh,
You're
cool.
the best.
And hopefully I see you in like a month or so.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait.
Thanks, man.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.